This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 2nd of April, 2019, and I am 2J.
I am Tuem.
And I am Miske, your host. Again, in case you missed it, this is Winning Headlines. Let's take a look at today's headlines. The Star, Haji protests bid to clip DPP DCI powers. The Standard, depression, shock link to social media. And the Daily Nation, new scandal of 45 billion shillings paid for stalled projects.
Wow.
No offense, but these headlines are depressing me too.
Yeah, they are. There's also no consensus across the headlines.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. The Standard, depression, shock link to social media. It's a continuing story. It was a headline yesterday. And a full spread, 3-page, I think. So now we're linking it to social media.
Let me ask you guys.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the Standard is trying to push some negative
Vibe.
Yeah, some negative agenda?
Aren't they all?
True. They all are, that's very true.
But okay, well, with the Standard in this story, I'm conflicted for this reason. Depression is a major issue. We
Yes,
as a country
definitely.
do not address it. We don't like talking about it. If someone dies because of depression, I'm telling you, the family will say anything but that.
Truth, yeah.
People who are suffering from depression also find it very difficult to come out and get help to begin with.
Yes.
And then again, I do agree there is a lot of negativity across the media houses and
Yes.
across the headlines.
Yeah.
And we agreed that there is no headline that comes free. Everyone has an agenda and an interest they're pushing.
Yeah.
So this in negativity, I don't agree with.
Yeah.
But I think there's an interesting story here.
It is.
Yes, there's you want to say what is interesting about this?
No, I was going to talk about Matiangi and his betting time bomb and say maybe they're depressed because social media is curating a life that they can't afford. So 76% of youth are deep in the betting trying to
First
get
of all,
money.
I want to question that number. 75% of youth.
Yes.
I think that is fake news completely. I don't think it's 75%.
Let me tell you, when did the state become the moral police? I think the last person to say what I should do with my money is
And how much
government.
of it you should spend on betting.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
the state also has a responsibility to take care of you. I know you advocate for minimalist state.
Yeah.
I know you do. But there's also the other extreme where the state takes the responsibility of protecting you,
Yeah.
therefore they
Yeah.
institute cases on your behalf.
Yeah.
So do you want the minimalist state to leave you to institute those cases on your own and prosecute them and pay me as a lawyer to
Before
go
we
to
move
court?
on, I think there's important information we need to clarify about this story.
Okay.
So there's two pieces of information that Matiang is trying to
Yes.
tackle here.
I
Right.
too.
So he talks about the morality because the 75% of youth are in debt because of betting.
Yes.
And so he says in order to combat that,
they
we're going to...
They said 75% of youth are betting, 500 of them are in debt, are blacklisted.
All right,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, he's saying in order to combat that, we're
Yeah.
going to tell all betting firms that if you do not produce your taxes
by a certain
by
period,
a certain period of time,
we will
your license is
suspend.
Okay,
gone.
well, here's the thing. It is, in fact, it is required of you as any firm making money in this country to
pay your taxes.
So that part is correct. However, the moral angle that he's also dealing with, the social element of betting,
Yeah.
is the questionable one.
Yes.
But we do know historically, betting has always been classified with all other moral wrongs and
Yes.
has been found illegal for that purpose.
In Africa, I feel like that's an African thing to make betting an immoral.
and that is where I was going. You see, number one, Matani should
they're
ask himself,
Africans.
instead of saying, where are 76% of our youth, that's how he talks, where are 76% of our youth betting? Let me tell you, what the state should be asking itself is why these people are betting. Maybe because there are no jobs.
Exactly.
They have found incomes in betting. And by the way, betting has been there for a long time. And that even that Nairobi Stock Exchange itself is a form of betting because
Yeah.
Deals in the
people,
realm of speculation.
people put their hopes on futures.
In fact, we were just discussing that one of the biggest bettors in
Yeah.
the world
Yes.
is Queen Elizabeth herself, the monarch of England.
Yes.
So for Matiangi, CS of
And-
interior
and-
/ morals,
And you know
to-
those
You guys are also linking
yes.
betting and speculation with income levels. So you're saying it's okay if I bet and I'm rich, but it's not okay if I bet and I'm poor. And because I'm poor and in Africa, I should be regulated and not bet all my little money.
I think that is what Matiangi is telling us.
Okay, let's address
and
the headline.
Even the queen, he bets on goods.
She.
Oh yeah, she. These people, the royals, they bet on goats racing.
First they began, I think, with horses and dogs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've gotten
to I've never seen
goats. And goats.
Yeah.
But I think that's true.
These guys, they bet on everything.
Futures.
True, yeah. I mean, betting started in small parlors, in clubs.
And the people, by the way, that have made a difference in our community because of football and everything are betting farms.
Oh my God.
All right. Yes, so what do we think?
Farms.
Okay, wait. So what do we think about
the story itself? And we're going to stick to our criteria because once we get into the realm of emotions, then we are carried away and we stop being realistic. I will ground us on our 3-part criteria that we use to break down the headlines for you. We ask ourselves 3 questions. Is this headline topical or is it speculative? Is this headline repetitive or is it groundbreaking? And finally, is this headline thoughtful or is it lazy?
I think it's repetitive because you saw it yesterday.
But it's topical on one hand because it's important. We need to discuss it.
Right.
But again, as you said yesterday, it's not being grounded in anything that is currently happening.
Yes.
I would say
if the Standard was telling me where I would go if I was clinically depressed so that I'd get help, fantastic.
That's a different story.
Or where as a family I can go and help my sibling or my family member who I think is depressed.
Absolutely. But you can't tell us, come and see these people are dying because of depression.
Next story.
The Star. Haji protests bid to clip DPP DCI powers.
What did he expect? He's been stepping on other people's toes.
Okay, true. And before that, maybe you could give our audience some context about this story.
If they didn't read it this morning, what is going on?
Kiharu MP Dindi Nyoro is, I think, has drafted a bill to have EACC investigate all corruption cases and no DCI, right? And also prosecute them, thereby bypassing DPP and also having DCI stick to investigating burglars.
And murderers.
Yes. And I don't want to take sides in this story. What I just want to see is a good fight. It's a good fight. Let them fight.
just wants to see a good fight. He wants to see more headlines like this.
It's a good
fight.
But also
he's been saying that. I mean, every other day he would say that.
Haji's been prancing about like a bully, you know, stepping on people's toes and saying, you know, manner of things. I think he just needs someone to just hush him a bit.
But wait, what is international practice? Is there a common practice where you have EACC or a corruption body or any other body having singular mandate to investigate and prosecute a particular type of crimes?
Yeah. So what you have in most countries, a lot of countries do have a form of the EACC.
Yes.
So in the UK, for example, there's this called the Serious Frauds Office. And now that office has 2 functions.
Right.
It investigates, but it also prosecutes. Now the prosecution power, we do not have that in the EACC.
Yes.
They only have the investigatory
Exactly.
power.
Moreover, the Serious Frauds Office is put under the AG, which is the Chief Legal Advisor of the Crown.
Yes.
So I think that's a very strong body. They have, I think, like a 90-something% success rate with frauds, whether high or low.
Yes.
Then in Singapore, for example, their EACC is under the Prime Minister's office.
Yes.
And that's to ensure that there's no interference from the police.
Yes.
So I think if we look internationally, there's a lot of models that we can borrow from.
So
I agree with...
So who investigates their burglars?
They Scotland Yard.
Fantastic.
So let's
But I think there should not be exclusivity of who can investigate corruption.
No, I think there needs to be a division of labor. You cannot have...
So you've picked a side?
Yeah.
And you're with 2J?
Kind of. You have to have a division of labor because what you'll have is institutional conflict. Because, for example, in this dam scandal, you have EACC having files about some dams and you have DCI summoning people for the exact same case.
Well, they're meant to have coordination between those different institutions to work together because an investigation is a continuous process.
Keyword.
And then both of them, both DCI and EACC, hand over their files to DPP under our current laws to prosecute.
Keyword meant. Right now, they don't.
Because the EACC does not have any legal authority to prosecute. I am of the opinion that the EACC should be built upon. I think that they deserve to have more powers, that they should be able to prosecute, but I also think that they should be put under another body.
Which one?
Now that's a question for another day. I do not know.
Here is what I'm going to tell you historically.
Yes.
Now, historically, DPP himself was not this powerful. It was an office under the AG.
AG,
Yeah.
yes.
AG was the most powerful office in
Yes.
that was historically
Yes.
in our old constitution.
And they had security
circa
of tenure.
2009.
Yes.
And they had security of tenure, and they
Yes.
had ability to institute
Absolutely.
prosecution, stop them.
Yeah, no prosecutes.
But-
Yes.
But,
Yes.
and here I feel, this is my personal opinion, that we
Right.
have a Kenyan problem.
Yeah.
Our Kenyan problem is we are not able to differentiate between institutions and individuals.
Right.
Now,
Yes.
if you have an individual who is strong,
Yeah.
who occupies an institution which also at that time happens to be strong,
as well.
Yeah.
then you attack that institution.
Yes.
But framing it, that
Yeah.
you attack the individual, framing
Yeah.
it that you're saying the institution is too powerful.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's what I think this is.
an
This is not a
attack on
problem
Haji.
between DPP or DCI. This is an attack on Haji and an attack on Kinoti.
Yeah.
But then,
But even
that's,
if-
I could be wrong.
Yeah, but let me flip it as well. Let me flip your argument. Haji then should not come out in the defense of his office, because he will still be a prosecutor at the end of the day, and so will be EACC.
Aye.
Maneno kusha. Let's move.
What do we
That
say about
argument.
this headline? I say we keep it in the
Parking Bay, let's see what the nation has to offer today.
New scandal of 45 billion paid for stalled projects, and a whole list is given. The nation carried on a self-initiated investigation into reports dating back from 2013. These are audited reports
Yeah.
from 2013 to 2017, and identified, at least in their report, 50 projects by state corporations that either never took off or stalled, with at least 45 billion of taxpayers' money going down the drain.
Look, the media is a very dangerous institution, because right now they are manufacturing anger. They said new.
It's not new.
It's not new because they collected data, they investigated themselves, and this is an auditor reports from 2012 to 2017. They don't tell us what happened in 2018, whether those projects were completed, or 2019.
Yeah.
Right? And then they sum them up and say 45 billion, new scandal.
Yeah. I
It is
think
not
worse
new.
over is that there's a reporter they have, Mr. Robert Shaw, who is a public policy analyst.
Yeah.
I believe he works for the nation.
And he does.
he
He
was
is a
the person
columnist.
who attempted to confirm
Yeah.
the story that they were trying to tell.
Yes.
The biggest problem for me, adding on to what you're saying about the media being very dangerous, is
Yeah.
they're trying to perpetuate this story, this new scandal, this huge amount, while having an internal journalist verify the story that they're trying to perpetuate.
I'm going to give
It's
a
so
quote.
dangerous.
I'm going to give a quote, and it's not my quote, it's Richard Quest's quote. He says that journalism is verified gossip. This part, I think, is the gossip. We never
Yes.
got to the verification.
They did not
Yeah.
And the
verify.
verification has
Yeah.
to be done by a source outside of yourself.
Yes.
So if you had
Yeah.
maybe if it was a police project where
Yes.
you're saying that there's like Sammy's police station,
Yeah.
an office block and an apartment block is incomplete, and
Yeah.
you had a report either
Yes.
from the contractor
Yes.
or from the police in charge, whoever's in charge of the station itself.
Now that is
saying or verifying,
verification.
that's verification
Yeah.
of what otherwise is
This is gossip.
But guys, there's also a bigger point here. I think there's an institutional objective across the media, and they probably have data that shows that the more the public reads stories on corruption, education, that children are being frustrated, or mental health, or things to do with I don't know, whatever, bad health, the more the people will buy the papers. So
It's in
becoming,
their interest. They need to make money.
They need to make money, yes. But why don't
We've
you have
tossed it.
to give
right.
us
So we
toxic
bring
stuff
back
all the time?
Haji protests bid to clip the DCA powers.
I think it's an
on its
average.
merit.
It's an average headline.
They're telling
Should
us.
we give a winning headline just because it's not bad?
No.
Let me toss it.
All right.
I'll toss it.
There is no winning headline today, but on to our next segment, the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Bring back our papers.
Yes.
Just like the headlines, we have a three-part criteria that we use to break down these cartoons for you. We ask ourselves three questions. Is this cartoon humorous, or is it dry? Is it satirical, or is it pessimistic? And finally, is it effective or just plain lazy? I see you've begun with the standard.
Hey, we talk about it.
All right.
Okay.
Let's give it to our host.
This is Gado, and we
Yes.
have a car branded sex education. Inside we have a child holding a camera, smiling at the camera, so I'm assuming it's a selfie. And on top of the car we have so much communication equipment, bags.
Yeah.
a mast.
And the
satellite
quotation, it
dish.
says, it doesn't matter whether you lower or increase the age limit. You need to develop a proper manual for them to drive that beast. So obviously this story is in reference to the
Proposal.
Yeah, the proposal to lower the age of sexual consent from 18 to 16. Yeah, okay. You're struggling.
2M is really struggling with this
Touchy
story.
topic, most definitely. But I would want to draw parallels with the what's on the cover of the Standard as well. This Matiangi story, right?
Yes.
So Matiangi has now become the
Moral
CS of morality. And then at the same time, we're struggling to debate whether we want to lower the age of sexual consent. These are both moral issues.
You're not allowing me to use my money on betting, but you want to give me the freedom to engage.
Exactly. I mean, if we're going to be consistent on morality, let's just do it.
But here's the thing: I do agree with what the representation of Wanjiko is saying. I do agree with it. You know, the thing is this: when you give young people the freedom to choose how to engage.
2M is really struggling with this story.
I know, he's so mum. But here, I'm going to say it. If you're going to give young people the freedom to engage in sexual conduct at a young age, whatever you choose or think is young, I think you also have to equip them with the knowledge to be able to engage responsibly.
Most definitely.
And I realize that the worst thing that could happen to you is not a baby. That you will need to address everything from sexually transmitted diseases to Planned Parenthood and everything in between.
Yeah.
And if we're not willing to have that conversation in the open, then I don't know if we're willing to give the responsibility. And I say we put it in the parking bay because it is, I don't know, it's not funny, but
2M has shut down. Why don't you?
Okay, maybe.
Let's talk about Brexit.
Okay. My name is Cartoon, Daily Nation. Tell us what you are seeing. In fact, just tell us anything. Speak, please.
British Prime Minister, a caricature of her, Theresa May, hanging from a broken bridge, named or labeled Brexit. See, we know this thing.
I know, I'm so tired of this story. I think the cartoonists are reaching for stories. There's nothing going on right now. It's been a dry couple of days.
But you can't blame them. There is nothing going on. But you'd have found something.
Yeah. All right.
Anything.
I think the Star have someone new.
Yes, they do.
It's called
Ozone.
Ozone.
Okay.
Is a depiction of county governments trying to swallow more than they can chew in wages and parks, and having a small slice of cheese or whatever it is.
I think
That's
it's
the money.
Called and they've labeled it development for the people.
I think this is in reference to
What
yesterday's headlines.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
over 70%, 76% is used for wages and perks as opposed to development.
Yes.
It's a literal.
Yeah, Ozone,
literal.
welcome to the show, but this is a very poor and lazy start, if I do say so myself.
Very literal.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you want to do it?
Yeah, let's be civil.
Bring back Gado.
Oh yes, Gado.
And again, I think we have the same conundrum we had with the first one. Do we say it's good because it's not bad? Because for me, it is not humorous, it is not satirical, and it may be effective.
However, I think there's one part of the cartoon
effective.
that we've missed, is the people who are being spoken to.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I think that those are depictions of religious leaders, and I think
and society as well.
and society as well.
Yeah.
So I think if you look at the child who's in the car, this is a progressive kid.
Yes.
You know, he has a phone, he's moving, he's trying to get going.
Yeah, but
and
seems
so
aloof.
exactly, but society and religion is holding
Yes.
them back. I think upon deeper.
The reason why I did not speak is because it spoke to me. So I think we keep it.
Okay, so are we admitting this as our winning cartoon?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's
Tujek?
yeah. It also spoke to me. A very great cartoon. Yeah.
Okay. Gado gives us the winning cartoon today. Let us empower our young people even as we educate them as we empower them. That's what I wanted to say. So we educate them as we empower them.
Yes.
This is Winning Headlines. See you tomorrow.